So hello, everyone. Thank you for coming to our Movimiento Quick Strike Project online community meeting. We're really excited to tell you guys about the projects we're working on today. This is a second in a series of meetings. So we'll be tackling 4 different corridors than we were the first time. At the beginning of the presentation, kind of sharing the data, the community outreach we've done so far, the project goals and stuff, that's going to all be the same. So some of the folks that I can see were at last week's meeting. That might look very familiar. Feel free to hang out in the background or do something else. But the end part of the presentation where we show the project quarters, that will be the difference between the 2 presentations. Pete, may I share my screen?
Can I just do a little housekeeping, Natasha?
Yes, please.
I wanted to mention that there's the live transcript button at the bottom along the bar with all the other features. It's helpful whether or not you can fully hear. Sometimes it just helps cut through the online muffling of internet audio.
Also, folks, this is Nick from DOT. We have a chat function in Zoom that I'm sure a lot of folks are familiar with. If you are not, there should be a button again down at the bottom of your screen and you can select that. Feel free to type your questions in or comments during the chat. We'll have a record of that as well. And we'll try to be able to circle back to any questions that pop up there. So if you feel more comfortable typing things in rather than coming off mute and commenting during the comment sections, that's available to you.
Thanks, Nick. Thanks, Colin. Also, the last little housekeeping exercise, if you have questions, we'll be taking kind of a break at the end of each section to stop and ask people if they want to raise their hand and unmute and ask the question, or like Nick was saying in the chat, but there will be little breaks to do so. If you have a question in the meantime, the chat is the best way to do that.
And Natasha, yeah. Oh, sorry. It looks like we already have our first chat user and asking about the availability for the PowerPoint.
Yeah. So everything that we say today, this PowerPoint will be made available to all of you if you'd like, and then we'll also have a recording up on the San Jose DOT website that you can watch and share with whomever, but we can definitely send the materials over to all who would like. So we're going to go ahead and get started. Welcome to the MTC Quick Strike and Movimiento Bike Boulevards project workshop number 2. I was mentioning that we had the first one of these last week. We're really excited to share the rest of the projects with you all. My name is Natasha Opfel. I'm an Associate Transportation Planner with San Jose DOT. I help run our area-wide planning projects, our MTIPs, which Movimiento is one of them. And I'm here with Peter Rice, my colleague. Pete, if you want to introduce yourself.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for being here. I'm Pete Rice. I think I know most of you. But yeah, thanks for being here and participating in our design process. We're looking forward to hearing your thoughts on these designs we have today.
Great, so let's dive right in. I just want to do a quick check that I'm sharing the right screen, not the presenter screen, but the slides. Great. You always gotta check that because I could be sharing a map of Waikiki or something. I don't know, but I'm glad we're on the presentation. Let's dive right in. So, what is this big long name? MTC Quick Strike and Movimiento Bike Boulevard projects. The city of San Jose DOT, that's us. We applied last year for some money to make these projects happen. And these groups of projects were in 2 very important plans that our city adopted very recently in 2020. We have the East San Jose Multi-Modal Transportation Improvement Plan, which is Movimiento, the namesake of this project. All of these bike boulevards were in that plan. And then we also have the San Jose Better Bike Plan, which established a citywide vision for all the bike infrastructure that needs to be built so that people can feel safe and more comfortable to bike in our city by the year 2025. So in both those plans were adopted by City Council, and we took those plans, took out the bike boulevards for this section of East San Jose, and we asked MTC, which is the Metropolitan Transportation Commission. They govern the 9 Bay Area counties and help a lot money to fund transportation projects in the 9 counties, and they gave us $1.4 million to design and build these bike boulevards that we're going to talk about today. So what is a bike boulevard? A bike boulevard is a street that slows cars down and reduces the overall vehicle traffic on the street so that people can walk and bike safely. People who live on the street benefit from a quieter street where families can play comfortably. Just a really slow, relaxed, comfortable residential street. And that's very similar to the goals of these MTC Quick Strike Bike Boulevard projects. We want to improve safety for people biking and walking. We want to slow cars down, reduce cut-through traffic, and create better neighborhood and citywide connections for people walking and biking. Here is a map of the proposed bike boulevard projects within the area of East San Jose. They're in pink lines, kind of all around the project area. We have William Street, North 21st and South 21st Street, South 28th Street and Bonita, North 33rd, South 33rd, right in the middle, going north-south there. We have Kammerer Ave, Sunset Ave, Jose Figueres, Sharp, and Packing kind of bundled into one. I cannot see the chat, so Pete or Nick, if you can holler out any questions that come up, that would be great. So here's a little overview of what we've done so far and the project timeline. Part of the money qualifications is that we had to be able to build and design these quickly. So we wanted to take projects that we had already done outreach for, that we already had conceptual plans for, and really put them in the ground quickly. So the preliminary designs and feedback period number 1, that's now. That's what we're showing you guys. We took all the knowledge we have to date to get some initial ideas to you. We're working with the community to see if those ideas are going to work, if they're going to get to the project goals we want to see. And then we'll have a second round of drafting designs. We'll come back and excuse me, get those designs back to the public in early January, have another outreach process where people can comment, tweak what is working, what doesn't work, and then we'll have the final designs in late January. So why these 7 corridors? We would like to enhance crosstown connectivity. East San Jose has many freeways and major corridors, wide, fast streets that create barriers for people biking and walking. Bike boulevards can connect to key protected infrastructure and provide, access to downtown and crosstown for people biking and walking. We also want to invest in local active transportation networks. All the proposed corridors create safer routes to schools, parks, transit hubs, and cultural destinations. And here is a map to show how important those connections are. So you can see that every corridor, again, those pink lines connect to parks. We have schools here, this little black icon with a flag sticking out the top. Those are schools in the area. You can see that many of them are located on these corridors. We also have key connections across 101. So San Antonio is a project that has recently gone in that's created a protected bike lane to get across this access point, and they connect to 2 of our bike boulevards. We also see that not all, but most of the bike boulevards proposed connect to Alamo Business District and the transit hubs there. And we also see a connection to the future 28th Little Portugal BART station. We also want to lower traffic speeds and volumes, like I mentioned before. All the proposed corridors are at the edge of what we think a target safe speed is for people to safely walk and bike. With this targeted investment, we can get to those ideal safe speeds and volumes really quickly compared to streets that are maybe exponentially faster or see more traffic. And finally, we want to achieve city goals. All corridors in this plan have been identified as high priority corridors for active transportation, a fancy way to say biking, walking, things that move your body when you're getting around. And they support our city's long-range sustainable transit vision. And here is that vision. San Jose has citywide goals that were part of Climate Smart San Jose and our general plan, Vision San Jose 2040. And these little donut graphs show those goals. Right now, in 2021, 24% of trips are made by biking, walking, transit, or shared rides like carpool. By 2040, both of these documents set a goal that 75% of trips will be made by biking, walking, transit, and shared rides. That's a big change, and we're going to have to make, excuse me, let me get a drink of water. Thank you. We're going to have to make a lot of big investments and big changes in the way we're designing our streets to make, those trips happen. And by 2050, that's even more. 88% of trips will be taken by biking, walking, transit, and shared. What we know, we wanted to share some data about these streets and why we've chosen them. Here is a crash data map of the Quick Strike project area, highlighting crashes that have happened along each of the proposed bike boulevards. We can see that there are different rates of collisions on different intersections throughout the project corridors. Yellow is 1 to 7 collisions, orange is 8 to 20, and red is 21 to 25. So you can see there's been crashes on every single bike boulevard intersection. You can see the hot spots. We have a lot on East William Street, 33rd, 28th. They're all over the place. And this data is from 2016 to 2020. So this data helped inform exactly what treatments are going where on these corridors, where we have to especially focus our designs. We also have data as far as how many cars are going down these streets every day. We have average daily traffic counts. So we have, bike boulevards ideally have around 1,500 cars a day. That's what makes it comfortable. You don't feel overwhelmed when you're on a bicycle or walking, that there's just too many cars around you. The top number is 3,000, this red line. Most of the corridors are at 3,000 or below. And that's really good news for us because that means it's going to be a really good bike boulevard. There are 2 corridors, 28th Street and Bonita, that are way above that average daily traffic goal. So we're going to have to think really critically about how we can, de-incentivize cars from using these streets.
Natasha, just quickly, we have a question from Michael about clarifying the crashes a little bit and what types of crashes those are. I don't think we have that data in the presentation here, but we do have that data in DOT about people who are involved in those crashes.
Yeah, so this was just a high-level overview of the crashes. To keep this presentation within the hour and a half, we chose to go with this level of detail, but we heard loud and clear last workshop when we asked people what they want to know more about, that people wanted to get into the details of the crash data because that can tell us even more about what sort of treatments need to be put in place. We will have that ready for next time, but and we do have that data, but we don't have it to share today. But we have what types of collisions, who was involved in the collisions, the reason for the collision. So was it red light running? Was it running a stop speeding? Things like that. We can get very detailed.
Thanks. And we also have another quick question from Alan about where the percentage of people, the modal share percentages are coming from.
Excuse me, the modal share from our city goals, our mode shift goals?
The mode shift goals, but also I think from the forecast percentages.
Oh yeah, those are set. I'll just go to those really quick. By 2 plans. So Envision San Jose is our general plan. They set goals because of the amount of growth that is expected in the city. Our streets cannot sustain, if we continue as is with the amount of driving, the amount of population increase, which is by 2040, 1.5 million people and an additional 500,000 jobs. Big, asterisk around, not exact those numbers, but I think it's pretty close. That amount of growth cannot be sustained by the infrastructure we have today. So we're going to have to get people in more sustainable modes to get people around. And we also have safety goals, our Vision Zero goals. We have a lot of people that die due to traffic collisions in our city, and also our climate smart goals, which are our sustainability goals. So we want to reduce emissions, make our communities healthier because of all the diesel particulate matter. And Colin, correct me if I'm wrong, but by 2030, we recently adopted that San Jose would be a carbon neutral city. So even more so, these are the climate and sustainability goals that San Jose has set loud and clear, and DOT's part in changing that.
Just to be clear, it was a resolution the council passed that adopted a goal of being a carbon neutral city by 2030.
Thank you, Colin. Were there any other questions? Thank you, Nick. Now I just have to flip back to where I was.
I kind of have a point. So I appreciate, like, obviously I care about climate. I think that we need to make sure that we are reducing greenhouse gas and just the effects that cars have onto the community. I just don't believe that San Jose, especially East San Jose, has the transportation infrastructure to accommodate our families and where they need to go throughout the day. I don't think it's realistic to expect like one of our abuelas, our grandmas, or our aunties to jump on a fixie bike and go to a local mercado. So even though I hope that I do appreciate that we're moving in this environmental friendly way, to me it seems slightly elitist. It's same thing like how everyone's pushing for energy cars, but our community can't afford energy cars, right? We can't just go and buy a Tesla and a Prius. I would really like for the city to think about how this is going to affect our working class families, specifically those who I have to walk. When I used to live in the Mount Pleasant Hills, I had to walk 30 minutes to get to the bus, right? If I don't have a car, I guess I'm not just going to the store, because pretty soon, with the new development proposal of removing the requirements for parking, right? Pretty soon there's going to be buildings that just don't have parking. So, I think there needs to be a larger conversation on how we're investing in equitable forms of transportation for everyone, because bike lanes cannot just be the end all be all. Just wanted to mention that.
Peter, thanks for that comment. Eugene, I see your hand up. I'm going to respond to Peter really quickly, and then we'll call on you. This is one part of a much bigger solution that San Jose is working on as a city, together with BTA, together with our regional partners. We know that bikes are not a panacea, and we are in no way suggesting that. And Movimiento has transit plans in it, bike plans, pedestrian safety plans. We are working on the citywide access and mobility plan, which is setting transit first policy, affordable transportation recommendations. It has a bunch of equity considerations in there for all the diverse populations that San Jose has. This is just one small piece of a large planning process that the city is going through and continuing to do. Colin, I didn't know if you wanted to speak to any of the larger DOT planning efforts, but we hear you loud and clear. This is not for everyone, but we know that my nana, my abuela, she can't drive, she takes the bus all the time, and the reason why I want to be a planner is to make it so that people that need transit and can't have a car have options too. So I totally hear taking everyone's needs into consideration, and this is just one piece and we're working on it. Colin, if you didn't have, oh, there you go.
I just wanted to agree with everything you said and emphasize this is not an either or, it's a yes and. There's certainly nothing in the plans that we're going to talk about tonight that's going to take away anybody's car or block a street. That I don't think we're doing any diverters here. So this is just really, more than anything else, emphasizing safety and providing safety for people who are already walking and biking, and maybe making things a little bit safer so people who are on the cusp and thinking about walking and biking can actually take the plunge and give it a try. And I want to call on Eugene before we move on.
Everybody, this is Eugene. I was just listening. Can everybody hear me first off? I might have been a little bit wonky. Hopefully not like the Sharks are doing tonight.
We can hear you.
Anyway, just to echo one of the speaker's comments just now about the need for public transit to be better. Sometimes I'll walk in East San Jose and I'll walk within San Jose, since even though I have a car, I prefer just to leave it at home. This from someone being back east. Still, sometimes I've seen drivers just literally speed around a corner like they don't even care. I just feel horrible for anybody who has to bike there, who has had to experience that and has gotten hurt or even killed. This should not be the case of to walk, bike, and die in San Jose. And let's just make sure that this is really part of an overall plan to really get bicycling as one part of a plan to just make life a little bit safer for everybody. Because we forget, even though this is Silicon Valley, not everybody has a car or has access to a car. And even those that don't have a car should not have to be put in danger or even have to be stigmatized just because they can't drive. That's not right. That's not an equitable society for anybody to live in. That you have to have some kind of your own automobile just to get around. That's not right. And let's make sure that this is one part of things that really get resolved more equitably for everything. That's what I'm here for. And for those of you that want to help get VTA better, let's work together with myself and other people to help make that happen. I left my email in the chat. I'll also leave my phone number as well. So I'll just end my comment at that.
Thank you, Gene.
Okay, diving back in, and I'm really excited to share the designs. That'll be at the end, just a bit more about our research to date. So here is a chart that has the speeds, average speeds for the bike boulevards proposed in this plan. So this is AM peak, that is about 7 to 9:30 in the morning, and this is the 85 percentile speed, which is most cars are going this speed or little above. So we have the red line again, which is our maximum speed we want to see for safe biking on these streets at 20 miles an hour, and the ideal speed of 15 miles an hour. Again, these are residential streets where people are living and playing, and 15 would be ideal. We can see that most of the streets proposed are very close to 20 miles an hour. So we think with these targeted treatments and investments, we can bring those speeds down and make the streets safer for everybody. And we'll talk a little bit more about the importance of speed in traffic safety later. So a little bit about the planning process to date and what we've heard. So like I mentioned before, we had 2 large-scale planning efforts in Movimiento. That was the East San Jose Multi-Modal Transportation Improvement Plan and the San Jose Better Bike Plan. I'm going to talk a little bit about what we heard in those planning processes. During En Movimiento, we did a lot of community surveying. We did pop-up outreach, online surveys, got a community advisory group together. This is a chart from one of the various outreach events. Community support for different types of street improvements. We can see that east-west bike boulevards and north-south bike boulevards, many people supported, over 40 people from those, this one outreach instance, like each of those with, priority transit routes and US 101 overcrossing improvements high up on that list as well. We also have here a graph from a question we asked: what makes it difficult to walk, bike, and take transit in the study area? Overwhelmingly, people said high vehicle speeds on streets. Cars are moving much too fast. If we can get those speeds down, then our outreach shows that more people will feel safer walking and biking and taking transit. Other things to know: lack of safe and secure bike parking. Transit is too slow. So speaking to that transit investment, that biking is not the end all be all solution. And then unreliable and infrequent transit. We also heard loud and clear: safer pedestrian infrastructure. A lot of people are walking around and don't feel safe crossing a majority of the streets in East San Jose. We have long crossings, dark crossings. So investing in safer pedestrian infrastructure, enhanced traffic calming, a lot of complaints of cut through traffic, speeding on residential streets, and safer bike infrastructure. People just don't think it's safe to ride a bicycle in the area. And then a little bit about our Better Bike Plan outreach. They did kind of the whole, the city-wide recommendations, but they focused in on different areas. And for East San Jose, things that came up in their outreach process was safer connections to close gaps between the different existing bike lanes and get people to trails and schools, and then make biking more convenient. So I have what I think is very fun and most people have a good time doing, a Mentimeter exercise, which is a tool the city has been using to get feedback in an easier to use and to visualize way. So we have, if you go to menti.com, MENT as in Tom, I.com, and type in this code 36398441, you'll be able to take a live survey that'll show up here during our presentation. And we'll be able to get your feedback, record your feedback, and be able to share it at a later time. You can do it on your phone, a tablet, on a different tab in your browser. But we have our first Mentimeter activity to hear what you think about, what the area needs to see. So if everyone could go, if you want to participate, to menti.com and use the code 36398441, we'll get started on that. I'm going to shift screens I'm sharing. I have not thought of a graceful way to switch between windows on Zoom yet. So here we go. I would like to know, is there a question?
I was just going to say, for folks who are looking for that login information, again, it's in the chat and then also here at the top of the screen as well.
Mm-hmm. So we have 3 people already answered, but do you currently walk in East San Jose? Just a temperature check. Who's walking around, who's getting around? Oh. So 50% of people, yes, for recreation and exercise, getting their steps in, walking the dog. Yes, to complete certain essential trips. Yes, to get to and from public transit. Yes, to get to and from work. That's awesome. No no's. A little bit more for recreation and exercise. I have 6 people participated so far. This is great. Thanks, everyone. How many people do we have here right now? 14. Okay. We have a little more time. We've got some others. I'd love to know what if you chose other, what the response was. No, valid. I'd love to know why not in the chat. Awesome. This is really great feedback. Thank you. On to the next question. And if anyone's having trouble with Mentimeter or can't use it, you can also just answer in the chat and we'll log that as well. What would make East San Jose a better place to walk? You can type freeform into the box there. It'll add a post-it to this screen. More shade trees. It does get hot, especially on the sidewalks. So I feel like the heat rises. More and wider sidewalks, more places. Shade again. If you want, you can submit multiples. Wider sidewalks, better maintained sidewalks. We heard that a lot last time too. Smooth sidewalks, less tripping hazards.
And
well, Lupe chimed in the chat, more safety.
Personal safety is a really important thing to consider when walking. No trash, bars of glass, trees, a lot of trees. Give people, I keep hiding the results. I do not mean to do that. There we go. Give people a couple more seconds. Okay, on The next one, this is great, guys, thank you. How do you feel about traveling by bike or scooter in East San Jose? There's a couple options here. There's, I currently bike / scooter and feel like the existing environment is satisfactory. It's fine, it doesn't need to change, it's good. I currently bike or use micromobility and things could be safer. Micromobility is just a fancy way of saying scooter. I didn't get to change that. And a couple other options. People are already responding. 50-50. There's, I want to bike, but don't feel that it's safe. There's some people saying, I do not want to bike, but I want others to feel safe. There's some people saying, I do not think we should focus on biking micromobility as a transportation option. And then I currently bike, yet want to feel safer. Interesting, this is good feedback. I see a couple more people saying, I don't think we should be focused on biking micromobility as a transportation option.
And Natasha, we also have a comment from Guadalupe saying that no, that she does not use micromobility as well. So thank you for that comment in the chat, Guadalupe.
Okay, only 6 people have responded. We've been getting 8 people responding on the other ones. I'm going to give it a couple more seconds in case anyone was having trouble, and then we'll keep moving. Okie dokie. What would make East San Jose better for people who bike or scooter? There's no wrong answers. There's a lot of different possibilities, and we'd love to hear what you think. I like to think of places that I've traveled and maybe visited, or even places in San Jose where I felt like I could let my young cousins bike on their own. What makes that happen? You know, when I've gone to different places, like when I saw a lot of people biking, what did it look like there? Okay, so I see people connections over creeks and freeways. There's no place to walk up a bike. That is huge. If you're riding and you can't put it where you go, you know, that's a big deal. Streets that are well paved, staying in the bike lane and not biking between different cars. You need to be follow the rules of the road. Allocate part of the capital to maintain lanes, cleaners and people in code enforcement to enforce the lanes. More secure bike link lockers, not open racks. Less leaves and junk in the bike. This is all great feedback. Colin, last session you mentioned some really cool information about bike lane cleaning. I don't know if you want to share that again.
Sure. Yeah, I was actually in a meeting with that division manager today. So bike lanes are mostly on our major streets, and we sweep those streets, including the bike lanes, at least twice a month. And then there are some bike lanes where we know that there are frequent issues, and we prioritize those for more frequent or hand cleaning. For instance, the bike lanes that lead to Berryessa BART station are now, if they're not already doing it, they're figuring out how to sweep those weekly. And then if anybody ever has an issue with debris in the bike lane or lots of other issues like a street light that's out or a traffic signal that's out, you can call DOT dispatch, and I'm going to put the phone number in the chat. I'm not good at talking and typing. It is 408-794-1900, 408-794-1900. So I've used that a lot, and I've used it specifically for glass in the bike lane on the east side, on the San Antonio Bridge over 101 in particular.
Great, thank you, Colin. I'm going to go back to the presentation. There are a couple Mentimeter exercises later. Try not to jump the gun and answer early. I know it's so fun and you might not be able to help yourself, but yeah, if we could save them. I'm going to go back to sharing the presentation, and I'm going to hand it over to Pete. There you go.
All right. Thanks, Natasha. So I'm going to walk you through some of the tools we have in our toolbox to help us achieve our goals. Then we'll do another Mentimeter exercise, and then we'll get into the treatments on the actual streets in this first iteration of the designs we have. Next slide, please.
Can I just pause us? The slides are not fitting in the screen for whatever.
Yeah, I wasn't sure if that was just me or.
No, that's everybody.
Yeah, okay.
Maybe just exit and then enter the slideshow again. It might. That's better.
Okay. So first, before we get into the toolbox, I just want to reiterate, the importance of lowering vehicle speeds from a safety standpoint. So I think this graphic really says it all. See here, if a person is hit by a car going 40 miles per hour, 90% chance that they will be killed. However, if you lower the vehicle speed to 20 miles per hour, a person will survive 90% of the time. It's really hard to overstate the difference there in that 20 miles per hour. It's literally life and death. All right, let's get into the treatments. Okay, so the first thing we have here are speed tables or speed cushions. I think most people are familiar with these. They're humps in the roadway that slow vehicles down to about 15 to 20 miles per hour. You can see here in this pic on the right, it shows speed humps with a path for emergency vehicles or bikes to pass through more smoothly. Next one, please. Okay, these are chicanes, a little less common than speed humps. They are typically a combination of a median island and bulb outs on the side of the roadway. And what they do is they create sort of a weave in the roadway so that cars have to slow down as they follow that S pattern. And you can also see here, especially in this picture on the left, they provide an opportunity for some green infrastructure. Next one. So here we have raised crosswalks. Raised crosswalks are like speed humps in that they are humps in the roadway that force vehicles to slow down. They have the added benefit here of forcing the slowdown to occur at the precise location where people will be crossing. Next one, please. Oh, and then you can see there on the slide that at least one study showed that it can reduce pedestrian crashes by 45%. All right, so these are bulb outs. So bulb outs reduce the crossing distance for pedestrians. And you can see they're basically curb extensions that narrow the roadway. They also force cars to slow down as they go around corners, making intersections much more safe. Then we have stop signs and high visibility crosswalks. I think everyone knows what a stop sign is, or I hope everyone does, so I'm not going to describe it any more than name it. And then high vis crosswalks, these are exactly what the name implies. You can see the picture on the left here shows a nice contrast between the high visibility crosswalk on the near side of the street and no crosswalk on the far side of the street. And they raise awareness of where pedestrians are going to be crossing and limit driver encroachment on pedestrian crossing paths. Here we have traffic diverters. So traffic diverters are roadblocks that limit auto access, but they allow people who walk and bike through. They're really the gold standard for reducing cut-through traffic and making bike boulevards safe and comfortable. They're difficult to plan for East San Jose. I mean, we have creeks and freeways and a number of cul-de-sacs. So there's really only so many streets that actually connect through. So it's difficult to add barriers to those streets. It doesn't mean we can't do it. We just have to be real thoughtful about where to do it. Next one, please. All right, so we have refuge islands and wayfinding. So refuge islands are pictured here on the right. They're islands in the middle of the roadway that provide a refuge for pedestrians when crossing. They create two short crossings rather than one longer one. And wayfinding, so in this case, we're referring to signs and pavement markings that indicate that this is a shared slow street. And these markings reinforce the idea that bicycles are a priority and people who bike are entitled to roadway space. And then finally, we have traffic circles. And traffic circles they're pretty popular in Europe, and they're becoming more popular here. They do take some getting used to. They can be more efficient from a traffic flow standpoint than stop controlled intersections. I don't know if any of you have seen that Mythbusters episode on that one. And they also reduce the incidence of certain dangerous collision types, head-on collisions and T-bone collisions. You may have noticed we've installed some on San Antonio within the last year. We're currently going through an evaluation of those circles as well as other treatments on the corridor. And we're going to use that evaluation to help inform whether traffic circles on any of the quick strike project, whether to install traffic circles on any of the quick strike project corridors, and whether to change the designs of the ones on San Antonio. All right, so those are the different treatments. I just want to take a quick second to talk about the type of materials we'll be using for these. So originally we scoped this project to be built with quick build materials. That's one of the reasons that we were awarded this grant in the first place, is because we said we could build 7 bike boulevards quickly for a relatively low cost. Since then, the department has been looking for ways that we can use sturdier, longer lasting materials. As of now, we have not made a decision on which way to go. I will say that either way, we'd like to do more than the simple paint and plastic that we've done with some of our recent quick build projects. I think you can see here in these pictures that quick build materials can look pretty nice. Quick build projects can look pretty nice. So I like to think of this slide as inspiration if we do the quick build approach here. So does anyone have any questions about what I just went over?
Hey, Pete, we have a question, and this is just from a little while earlier, but asking about sort of the cost, increased traffic, and the use of bike boulevards and bike infrastructure. And could we maybe go into that a little bit as well?
Yeah, well, where to begin with that? First of all, this is a grant funded project, so it's not coming out of the general fund. As far as causing congestion, I mean, bike lanes and bikes in general are a lot more space efficient than cars. So if you can get a significant amount of people to ride bikes rather than drive, it can actually free up roadway space. You know, I disagree that they have increased traffic jams in downtown. I don't know, does anyone else want to chime in on that?
I also just wanted to clarify, Eric is who asked these questions, and is the question about this kind of treatment of bike boulevard where we take a street that's already shared with bicycles on it and make it slower and safer, or are you talking about the protected bike lanes that are on the major streets downtown? Not sure. I'm not looking at the participants. I don't know if Eric's still with us. If you are, if you want to speak or answer in the chat.
Sorry, I missed your question. Can you repeat that one?
Yeah, the questions you asked about cost and traffic jams, were you talking about bike boulevards like these where we're taking streets that are already shared,
Exactly.
on them,
No,
versus
exactly.
the protected bike lanes downtown?
Right. No, these bike boulevards that exist, and you can see them on 3rd Street and San Fernando. You can see it right by Flames, right near the Martin Luther King Library, and it tends to cause like a lot of congestion, as well as kind of I've noticed impairs the vision for some of the bikers as well as the drivers within those areas. So I'm kind of trying to see how, and then not only that, you're talking about also parking, which is already limited in downtown, and with those bike lanes has been congesting it a little bit more. So I'm trying to figure out kind of already, just as a layperson witnessing this, how is this any different with Eastside San Jose when there are, like, if I remember correctly, San Antonio, or maybe being congested, I'm not sure, but just solving one of those issues. What about these situations make it so? What about this proposal makes it so different?
So this proposal, the projects that we're going to get into a little bit more shortly, they're not bike lanes. They're not separate from traffic. These are, Pete, nod or shake your head if I'm off script, but these are ways to slow down and make streets safer for people on bikes. I don't know if there's any parking impacts anticipated with these projects, but I doubt it. And with the bike lanes downtown that you're referring to, those are a different animal. They replace often either a travel lane or a parking lane, although we do our best to first study parking before we do any change to parking to see how well it is or is not utilized. And then we often change our plans. If we see that something that we were doing was going to impact parking, and parking is heavily used, especially in the evenings when most people are home, then we do often change our plans. As far as the cost, as Pete mentioned, this is a grant-funded project that was granted in part because it is so cost efficient. And then we do hope to slow down traffic speeds on these corridors, but I don't see that causing any kind of congestion. We're not doing anything to put barriers in the street.
Thank you, Colin. I see Guadalupe has her hand up.
Hello?
We can hear you.
Okay. Regarding this street, you just show up like parking place. Parking place is not wide enough to have a safe access to bike lanes. When you drive through this, drive through and cars are coming your side, you have to park on the side and let the car go. If a car is coming, you have to move and put it to the side in order to let the car pass. So this bike lane, instead of making safe for bikers, is the opposite, because the cars are not gonna move on the side or wait for the bikes to go through.
Guadalupe, thank you so much for that comment. I just wanted a point of clarification that these are not separate bike lanes. Bikes are already allowed on most every street in San Jose, and this is just a way to make traffic slower. So there's no separate bike lane being built. There are all the things we talked about just now: speed bumps, bulb outs, raised crosswalks, brighter crosswalks that just make cars go slower on these lanes, because we've seen speeding on Packing Place. You're right, it is very narrow, and we want cars to go slower, so when you have to move out of the way, there's time and people don't sideswipe each other or sideswipe into a bicyclist. We want to just bring everything slow so that those movements are made with more care. There's no bike lane.
Yeah, but you know what? Mayfair is one of the areas, like we have 12 schools just on the Mayfair area. Did you imagine the amount of traffic going back and forth? So I don't know, I've been talking to my neighbors, I've been asking people, the ones they live on those streets, because are the ones they're gonna be more affected. And they don't like it. They don't like the idea of have these bike lanes or these boulevard lanes, because it's increased the traffic, believe it or not, because a lot of the cars, they have to stop and let the bike go and then keep going. So when they stop, they make a line of cars. And I'm talking, for example, in Packing, by the end of the street is the Rocket Ship School. It's kind of like a loop on that street. So you see in the morning, incredible traffic in that street. And then by the time when the kids get out, the same. And that's the same for Kramer, because there are Lee Mason, Renaissance, San Antonio, not San Antonio, Cesar Chavez, Ace, and 2 little daycares. So I don't know what was really the idea for this, because it's not helping. It's the
Guadalupe, sorry, I just want to be mindful of time, and I really appreciate your comment, but I really wanted to circle back to some of the points we were making earlier. DOT has a Safe Routes to School program, and they are in schools listening to teachers that work there, families that are attending there, and principals. And safety around our schools is one of our top priorities as a city. Because there are so many schools in this area and people are walking and driving and we just want cars to go slow so that they can be more mindful. We don't believe this will cause increased congestion. We will be evaluating the project. Again, we are responding with some of the most asked for things: speed bumps, safer crosswalks, nothing, no direct bike lane. We hear you loud and clear, and this is something that we're going to be mindful of and monitoring, and we'll be able to report back on that. I want to go ahead and share the designs because I think there's some confusion about what exactly we're proposing. So I wanted to get into that, but I have one Mentimeter activity to kind of, oh, go ahead.
Real quick, I think Alan summed it up pretty good in the chat. So I just want to read his comment real quick. And he says, one way to look at this is to consider this to be traffic calming measures to slow speeds on these roads. That helps bikes and peds, but the main thing is to reduce speeds, which reduce injuries and death. So it's not, this isn't just a bike project. This is making the community safer. So thanks for that, Alan.
Thanks for that feedback. I'm gonna, just stop sharing really quick so that we can do the Mentimeter activity. Pete talked about a lot of different things we can do to change the street. You might have not liked some, you might have really liked others. We want you to help rank those with our Mentimeter exercise. So I'm going to go ahead and share that. There's one question, it'll go pretty quick. Here we go. Right. That's the old one. Here we go. What bike boulevard treatments do you like best? And we already have some people chiming in. We have one person who submitted, and we can see their favorites, but as more and more people submit their answers, we will have those resorting based on people's votes. So again, if you go to menti.com, it's up here at the top of the screen, and use this code 36398441, you can vote. We have two people chiming in. So you raised crosswalks popped up there. Traffic circle got knocked out of first place, and we have high visibility crosswalks. As more and more people vote, again, these will change. 3 people have chimed in so far. When we get to about 7 or 8, we can move on. Or if people maybe slowed down, that's okay too. Got 4 people. High visibility crosswalks still in first place. We have speed cushions and tables going up. If there's other treatments that you like that we didn't talk about today, feel free to put those in the chat. If you feel strongly one way or another, and you don't feel that this allows you to express that, go ahead and put it in the chat. We'll be recording all those comments as well.
And also for folks who are just joining us or may have closed the tab, you can find the login information right here at the top for menti.com and the code 36398441.
Thanks, Nick. We have 6 people responded. Traffic circles in first place, high visibility crosswalks, second place, raised crosswalks, third place. Those are my personal favorite. And stop signs in 8th place. I know they're not that cool, not that hip, but man, 8th place, stop signs. That's okay. We'll stop there just to get into the designs. Thank you all for participating. I'm gonna get back to the presentation. Again, please excuse the technical pause while we shift this over. So here are the initial and Movimiento fixed strike bike boulevard recommendations. The last workshop, we talked about the 4 corridors west of King Road. These will be the corridors east of King Road. If you'd like to give comment or learn more about those, you can go to the website, and we'll be having the last workshop uploaded there any day now, if it's not already. And we'll have more opportunities for people to give feedback on everything. But again, these are the 4 corridors east of King Road, and Pete's gonna talk about those.
And I just want to remind everyone that this is the first design iteration. It's extremely unlikely that this will be the final, what the final designs look like. So that's the point of what we're doing here, right? We want to get your feedback to help us improve these designs, make them work better for you all. So this is the first one we have here at Sunset Ave. Sunset has a ton of potential as a bike connection. It has the freeway overcrossing on the south end. And we've actually been exploring some ways that we can connect it through on the north end, north of Alum Rock. There was a development that was in the works there for a while, and we were working with that developer to get an easement to poke through, possibly to El Rancho Verde, just a bike ped connection. That development, of course, went belly up. So that's been put on hold, but for now, at least, it will connect you to Alum Rock and Camera and San Antonio, of course. And then the freeway overcrossing that I mentioned at the southern end. So the treatments we're showing here, we have some intersection improvements at Alum Rock, Losset, San Antonio, Camera, and Sanders. And then we have speed humps between San Antonio and Sanders Abbott in the south. And we purposely left the intersection improvements as somewhat vague. It could be some of those refuge islands, could be the high visibility crosswalks, bulb outs, things like that. I guess we have a separate icon for bulb outs. But yeah, so what do you guys think of this corridor and the improvements we have here? Any comments?
You can put them in the chat or raise up your hand, and we can have a discussion for each of the corridors today.
You can also just tell us about your experience on Sunset, you know, what that street means to you in your community.
And this is Colin. I just want to clarify because these always mess me up. This map is sideways, isn't it? So north is to the left.
Thanks for that. Yeah, this is a north-south corridor.
You will add a compass for next time. Thank you. That is true. It is the wrong way. Hearing none. Does that mean we did everything right the first time? I bet not, but don't be shy. Well, if there are no comments, you're just wowed by the potential treatments. You know, we got a lot of good feedback, and there will be more opportunities for feedback. So we will be, you know, changing this as we go too. So it will not be the last time you see Sunset.
Hey, Natasha, looks like we have a couple of comments popping up in the chat. First, Alan echoes some of the points about Sunset here for a connection over the freeway, which is a great point. And also, Michael's wondering, I guess if we can maybe clarify just a little bit better where this is. So this is Sunset Avenue from Alum Rock running to the south all the way down to basically where the freeway pedestrian overcrossing is. So we have Alum Rock, and if you imagine you made a turn off of Alum Rock and down Sunset, you'd go through a number of streets across San Antonio, across Camera, and down towards 680.
I guess my question, I couldn't find the hands up thing, so sorry, but I guess my question isn't, you know, obviously point A to point B here, but what is the point of getting people on this road? Because, you know, if you look at it, you're basically dumping everybody off at Lily's nightclub on Alum Rock Avenue. So, I mean, where do you think people are going that are going to actually use this corridor?
People are allowed, so we wanted to connect the Alum Rock corridor, which is a really important business corridor, but also transit corridor. Some people put their bikes on the bus or coming, you know, all sorts of reasons you can go from Alum Rock. And then again, it gets you over the freeway on that pedestrian bridge at the south end of the corridor. And it also connects to East San Antonio Street and Camera, which is one of the bike boulevards. So it provides a little bit of that connectivity.
There's also the potential connection I mentioned earlier that is theoretical at this point, but when we were looking at before, it could end up being, you know, something like 7 miles of pretty good bike boulevard along some relatively calm streets, and combined with some nice bike lanes as well.
And we also have some questions about community involvement in the planning decisions, and sort of discussing this. And obviously this is the beginning process with looking at these corridors, but can we maybe speak a little bit more to the future outreach opportunities for folks as well?
Yeah, so the designs that we see here today were informed through that Movimiento planning process I mentioned, which was a years-long effort to speak with community groups. We worked with Luna, we worked with Vivo, did pop-ups and workshops, and now we have a community advisory group, which some of you are members, and if you'd like to join, we can put information for that in the chat, also in the follow-up email. And then from these designs forward, we've had 2 workshops so far. We're going to be working with our community advisory group for the Movimiento plan to refine these. We're going to have online office hours where we'll spend 3 different times during the week and on the weekend being available to answer questions. We'll post about when those are happening. We'll also be doing tabling events where we go out in real life with big posters and stickers and markers and stand at some of these intersections for hours at a time, just getting people's intercept feedback as they're walking, biking, busing, even parking and going into a shop. They can tell us what they think. We're going to be talking to council member offices and doing a whole nother round of workshops once we've done all this to show our second draft. You all get final input on that. And then the idea is the end of January, February to have the final designs. So this is only the beginning. These can change as needed and as we hear from you all. Any other questions in the chat? Because we can move on to the next corridor. Camera.
So Camera is a pretty nice east-west route. It's got the bike ped bridge over Silver Creek, and of course it connects to several schools, the community garden, and the Mayfair Community Center. So what we're showing here is intersection treatments at all the intersections, and then speed humps between King and McCreary and Doburn and Jackson.
One comment I'd like to make, because I have ended up using the street a lot, getting on my bicycle to go, to King Road or to Jackson, and King are both not the safest, but bike lane streets, key north-south corridors. Guadalupe was bringing up all the schools that are in this area, so safer intersections and traffic calming would be, a goal for this area. And it's one of the few places you can get over the creek. This little knob right here is a pedestrian-only bridge, so it kind of seems like it dead ends, but it is one of the few ways to get over the creek on a slow street. Guadalupe, you have your hand up?
Yes, just a little comment about parameter on the bridge. When we put that bridge, because I was involved in that project, the main purpose or the main goal was pedestrian bridge only. That's why we closed that street, like no access for cars. And now you put in bicycles in there, crossing the bridge, like it's not wide enough, because a lot of parents, they go through the bridge to bring the kids to school. So again, that's not safe for the people, for the walking people, is not safe for the bikers.
Thank you, Guadalupe, for that. Right now, and Colin, please elaborate on this. It is a bike ped bridge. Even though maybe it mostly is used by pedestrians, we can look into putting up signs or some other, I think Ryan is on this call from our bike team. We can work together and think about how we can add signage or some other treatments to get bikes to make sure they slow down. So thanks for that. Are there any I see the chat lighting up, but I don't know if that was old or new. Can't see with sharing my screen. Like Pete was saying, these intersection improvements, we know it's vague, but we really wanted to hear from you about what you like best, what you don't like, and the other workshop too. So these are highly customizable and context specific. We've heard a lot of need for high visibility, safer crosswalks. Curb ramps are something we didn't talk today, but any updates we do to that will make them more accessible for people that use wheelchairs or that use strollers. So those will be improvements that we can do.
Natasha, I just wanted to point out there are some things in the comments or in the chat rather that are comments, and I wanted to let people know that we export these comments when we finish the meeting up, and we will take all these comments and add them to all the other comments from the surveys and the other public input that we've taken as we consider the designs.
Thanks, Colin. I'm always jealous. I like to read the chat, but I can't when I'm the one giving the presentation. So on to the next one. Jose Figueres. This, if you think back to the map, this is kind of a really long set of streets. So this is the northernmost part at McKee. Jose Figueres, you have the hospital there, a really big, long tree-lined median. Then you're going south towards Rancho Verde, and you have, oh, Pete, I'm doing your job of the presentation. I'm sorry.
I was just gonna let you go.
I was just going, sorry. Go ahead, Pete.
Yeah, so like Natasha was saying, it's a nice north-south route. We've sort of envisioned it as combined with the Scharf packing Doburn connection to the south. Obviously on Alum Rock there's a bit of spacing between the two streets that don't meet up directly, so you'd have to ride down Alum Rock a little bit. But yeah, a lot of great stuff. You're connecting to the parks in the north and the medical center, and then of course all the major east-west routes that connect to there. So the treatments we have here and on the next slide, which is more to the south, we have intersection improvements at McKee, El Rancho Verde, Alum Rock, and then on the other side of Alum Rock, we have them at Plaza de Guadalupe, Lawson Avenue, and then we have a traffic circle at Alexian Drive and a speed hump between Alexian and Alum Rock. And then can you go to the next one real quick? So this is just the complete southern portion there. And that shows the intersection improvements at San Antonio and Cameron, and then a speed hump between San Antonio and Cameron.
So just really quickly, because Guadalupe mentioned the concern around packing place being very narrow, you can see that we're recommending just very, context specific intersection improvements just to make those intersections safer. A lot of them right now don't have crosswalks even, so just, bringing attention to where people might be crossing. Just wanted to mention that. Pete, should I go back one to get back on that first one?
Well, yeah, it's kind of up to whatever people want to talk about. We have the north. Go back once so we can just see what's north of Alexian Drive. I don't think there's too much north. Yeah, it's just that one intersection improvement at McKee, and then I think everything else is on the other slide.
And then just for context, McKee Road is going to be seeing a different bike improvement project that we can keep you in the loop on. It currently has bike lanes on it, but it is very safe, high-speed road. And I'll move to the next one. Any comments about these improvements? Any situational things that we should be aware of? The last workshop, we had a lot of really great feedback around delivery truck conflicts, people that were not parking correctly and parking on bulb outs, and that might not be the best solution. We'd love to hear about what your experiences are on these streets.
have a couple of comments in the chat. Alan mentions that there's a lack of safe biking infrastructure on Alum Rock. And that's certainly something that we're aware of in terms of there not being any facilities there at the moment. So thank you for making that connection, Alan. And also Michael is wondering if the proximity to the hospital will be problematic. And Michael, just to clarify, is that for maybe the traffic coming in and out of the hospital or emergency services? Or
I'm thinking more emergency services if they're, you know, using the back end of the hospital as alternate routes to get in and out. And you've got bikes, you know, and ambulances, probably not a good combination.
This is already a bike boulevard, just with share rows. You do just the small markings. So we will run all designs by, you know, police and fire to participate in like the engineering side of the house. So if they have any questions, and we'll definitely run the traffic circle design considerations with those things in mind. Part of the evaluation that's going on around the San Antonio traffic circles is they were made that size because of the bus access that travels down. So we'll definitely be thinking about how ambulances and fire trucks and things work with this proposed traffic circle. So we will have updates
and
the next time around.
Also, as Pete mentioned earlier too, and this is again a great thing to follow up on, Michael, so thank you. With speed cushions and some of these other designs, they can definitely be designed to still facilitate emergency vehicle access and to make sure that they're not slowing down emergency services.
You've probably seen them. They have little cutouts in the center. So if a fire truck is running through the middle, or not running, going through the center of an intersection, they can just reorient and go through the center. Guadalupe, you had your hand up for a second, maybe? Or came off mute?
Going back to parking place, I don't know what you're going to do in that street by the end of the street before they connect to Dover. On the school days, the school time, when it's dropping and picking up, there is lines of cars, like maybe 3 or 4 lines of cars in that little loop. And that's really dangerous for a bike to go through those lines. So what you gonna do about it to provide safety to the bikers and also to the pedestrian, the mothers picking up their kids?
So safety for you know, families picking up their kids, dropping off their kids. These intersection improvements are going to, right now there are no crosswalks at some of these intersections. It's going to make them brighter, more visible. If we were to put a raised crosswalk, it would elevate people up so that they can be seen easier. Children especially are lower profile. Some trucks these days, you can't even see a kid at the height that the hood is. So if we could raise people up, make them more visible, get cars to slow down. Unfortunately, we see that a lot of cars don't slow down until they're putting their car at risk. So sometimes these speed cushions and speed bumps are some of the most effective tools we have to get people to slow down.
So
as far as the
this
Can I just clarify? Are you saying that cars come like this? I've drawn on the map there.
yeah, on that intersection, there at the school times there is always 3 or 4 lines of cars. Dropping the kids in the morning because they park there and they walk the kids to the school to rocket ship. That time is the same. When I have to go in and out because I live close, I live on Preservation, I avoid to take that street because I know it's packed. You can hardly pass. So police tried because for a while he was giving tickets to the people parking in 2 or 3 lines. But it was only a few days and then the parents start doing it again.
We can talk with our Safe Routes to School team who interface directly with the schools and get an update for you if they've done any outreach. We can think about ways, this project isn't directly solving for double parking, but it's something that we can take into account and maybe get other people involved.
That was not my question. My question is, it's not gonna be safe for bikers to go through that street with all those cars parking in there. And that's the same by the end of the street, that Dover, that at the end is the school. Rocket Ship is the same congestion just in there. And I don't understand why you do this bike boulevard to a dead end street. What is the purpose? So
I think there's a lot of different trade-offs and contexts we're going to have to take into account. We were really trying to provide safe connections to schools and improve, because there are families that bike these schools, a lot of families that walk to these schools. So again, with these intersection improvements, we're really trying, to not cause congestion, but just get cars to go slower. The congestion is something that we definitely have to think about. So we'll look more into that, and then we can maybe speak to some of the context-specific solutions in the next iteration.
Just for you to know, there is no parents going in bicycles, dropping the kids or picking them up. No, not a single one. I've been watching those streets, not from now, from the past, and I don't see a single one dropping a kid in a bicycle. They all go by car or walking. So I don't know where you get your information, but that's wrong.
Thanks. We could probably do a better job to tell those stories. I'll link back with our safe routes to school folks, because we've definitely heard that safe biking and especially walking, like you mentioned, connections are very important through the outreach process. So I can maybe think of people to reach out to and maybe get their stories and bring them to the next meeting. That could be a good assignment for me. Thank you, Guadalupe.
I mean, we have definitely heard that, people want to bike more, but they don't feel safe doing it. And so that's part of the reason we're doing this stuff. I did want to address something Alan said in the chat. He mentioned that there's no safe biking on Alum Rock between these two streets. There's no bike lanes, that's true. But you are allowed to ride on the sidewalk on Alum Rock there. Of course, be careful anytime you're riding on the sidewalk near pedestrians, but it is legal to ride on the sidewalk.
I saw a mention in the chat if we're going to be doing outreach to the people that live on these streets. As we go further on in the planning process, we will be sending mailers out to every address being, I think it's within many feet around these corridors. We'll be getting postcards, mailers, and ways to get involved. We are working with the council member's office to make sure that we're talking to every neighborhood association in the area. We're going to be doing targeted tabling efforts and trying to get as much as possible. It's really hard to reach everyone, but especially during the pandemic, but we're going to do our best to talk to as many people as possible. And those mailers do get to everyone's houses. That is not all, that was a lot, but that is the last of our corridors. We have one more Mentimeter activity. Get your feedback on these. I really appreciate the feedback that's been happening out loud and in the chat. But if you want to head over to Mentimeter one more time and get on the record one more time about your thoughts, I would really appreciate it. Again, it's menti.com and the code 36398441. If some of you are already there, you might already see the question. Let me do the switcheroo again. And all of these will go into our report of how this outreach went. Here is this. Awesome. Okay, on to the next question. Do you feel that the designs presented today achieve our goals, this project's goals, of safer and slower streets? And it is okay to, no wrong answers again. Yes, I feel as though the designs are sufficient. Somewhat, I feel as though the designs are a start, but more can be done. And no, I do not agree that the treatments presented will be effective. That means not make people go slower, not make streets safer, etc. We got 1 and 1. 1 yes and 1 no. other people. I know it's the end of the presentation. People might be getting hungry. We are almost to that finish line, but I would love your feedback on these things. It's really helpful for us to visualize things in this way, and we've been getting some people to participate that don't really want to come off mute, and we don't have access to the chat. I'm going to give it one more minute, maybe 30 seconds. Anyone else? If people want to participate through the chat, I see that we had some people log off, so
We got to break the tie, right?
yeah. Maybe the people that were participating earlier logged off because we're down some folks in the participants. We'll try a couple more. If it's only 2 people, we very much value, but we might not have to take everybody through this exercise. But this is something we really, really want to know more about. Moving forward, what are key considerations you would like San Jose DOT to keep in mind? I heard loud and clear, Guadalupe, that you really want us to be thinking about, what is happening around our schools? What are the drop-off and pickup times looking like? Are these congestion issues going to be causing more conflicts? Like, that is something we can definitely bring more information about next time and look into more. We have, like I said, teams in DOT specifically tasked with working with schools, so we'll definitely do that. Last workshop, we got really great feedback on the narrowness and parking considerations and delivery truck drivers, and all such good feedback of things to consider. Anything else? Earlier today, we heard that, don't just think about biking, let's think about other things too.
Natasha, it looks like Michael's trying to raise his hand, so let's
Go ahead and blurt it out, Michael.
Thanks. So I think, these are all great ideas and it's a great goal, but I think there's a couple of things we need to look at. One is the goal actually attainable? And in this neighborhood, I would argue that 25%, I think, is probably as best you're going to get. 80% is way off the charts, I think, from the people that I know that live in this neighborhood. There are no major supermarkets within walking distance, not even within driving distance. It's miles to get to, a Target, a Safeway, a Lucky, or whatever. So the notion that all of our trips are going to be on public transport or on a bike or a scooter is somewhat ridiculous. The center of jobs is not in this neighborhood. So people have to commute. And, I work up in Newark. I'm not going to trade a 20-minute or 25-minute commute by my car into an hour-and-a-half adventure one direction every single day. That's ridiculous. So I agree that, short trips, recreational activities, that's all great. And we should make our streets safer, but I think we're trying to create this big project over something that could be done very simply. And, I was the one that said, let's pave the streets because, cars are dodging potholes in the neighborhood, legit. And every year the same potholes pop up, they put another patch on it. And, within a couple of weeks, they're popping up again. Cars are going around, driving around, dodging the potholes, which becomes a hazard for bikers and walkers. The sidewalks are in such disrepair that you can't walk on the sidewalks. The trees are uprooting the sidewalks everywhere. So, it's a difficult walk in my neighborhood. There's a couple spots in my neighborhood where there are no sidewalks, that the sidewalk just ends in somebody's front yard. We also have to, I'm also thinking, where would I go? My first thought was, oh, I'll bike to the gym. Cool. It's over 1.5 miles, almost 2-hour bike ride to the gym. But once I get there, there's no place to park the bike. It's a much bigger issue than just painting the the street screen. And I think that's what we're stuck on, is making these, if we build it, they will come. I don't think so. I think you're going to build it and you're going to have the same situation. We're still going to have people, spinning donuts around traffic circles on San Antonio Street, or jumping, curbs. You know, people are going to find a way around the obstacles that you put in place. And, you know, I'm not trying to poo-poo the whole thing, but I don't think it's gonna work. I don't think you're gonna see a huge reduction in traffic speed. And, you know, from what I've seen so far of what's been done on San Antonio, for example, I think you've created hazards. Some of those bump outs and the really wide intersections like at King Road and so forth, by putting the right-hand turn lanes as wide as you did by blocking the right lane, you've now put the bicyclists and the pedestrians in the car's blind spot. So half the time you're in the middle of a turn when you actually see that there's somebody there, where if the turn was as it was normally, you're much closer and you can actually see who's alongside of you. So I'm glad we have this forum and I'm glad we can talk about it, but I'm not very hopeful that these things are going to change much.
Thanks for that feedback, Michael. That I'm hearing a lot of frustration and a lot of very valid feelings and feelings that I sometimes struggle with too. These are really big goals that our city has, and this set of bike boulevard projects is not alone, is not going to get us there. And we have all sorts of city agencies all trying to fix all of the problems that you stated today. Transportation is a land use issue. Like you said, things are far apart. So we have people working on that in the planning department. We have the paving projects, which we would love to talk to you more about. Paving has increased its workload by a ton. We've been paving, I think, close to 200 miles of city streets a fiscal year. I'm pretty sure I can share that pavement map with you. And there's a whole 3-year plan of all the places we're going to hit. Transit improvements for people that are just not going to walk and bike. How can we make electric vehicle purchasing easier, less expensive, chargers more easily accessible? There's so much to work on. That's why I'm excited to have my job, because it's not straightforward. We have to get creative. And there is hope. Other cities like San Jose, Austin, Texas, Portland, Oregon, Oakland, California is much smaller, but same kind of land use patterns, have been seeing, movements in the needle, getting more people biking, getting more people walking, getting more people on transit as they've been doing similar things. So it's just a drop in the bucket, but eventually we'll get there. And I know that it's sometimes tough to see how that'll all add up in a way that's beneficial, but we're here to hear you and hopefully, help. Thank you for that feedback.
Natasha, this is Colin. Can I interject for a second on the paving topic? I just shared
Yes.
the link to our pavement project story map in the chat. And I just want to point out that Michael is right. These streets, specifically in this neighborhood we were talking about tonight, they're not on our pavement forecast through 2023. We do have, it's not a goal, it's not a vision, it is a step-by-step plan. We will pave all local and neighborhood streets in the whole city by 2028, and we are actually exceeding that goal right now. So you'll see when you look at the map, we pave streets in big chunks. It looks like a patchwork quilt, and we do almost 10% of the city every year now. This is just since 2019. The 10 years before that, we had very, very little money for paving, and we had a big infusion of funding beginning 2019 from a couple of tax measures that voters supported and a state Senate bill measure that was challenged, and then voters supported it the following year. So we've gone from around 23 miles a year of paving to over 200, as Natasha mentioned. It does take time because we are a big city. We've got about 2,500 miles of streets, and we're paving 200 to 220 miles a year. We have been doing an equity check and overlay using a map from the regional planning body we mentioned earlier called the Equity Priority Communities. We are exceeding a fair 10 district distribution of paving on the east side, particularly in District 5. We're doing more there than we're doing in other districts, but there's a lot of catch up to do. I completely recognize that. And you're right. And you're going to look at this map, hopefully, and you'll see that these streets we're talking about tonight, there's a big island where we don't have anything in the hopper between now and 2023, but it will absolutely get paved by 2028. it may be as soon as 2024. I just don't know yet. We haven't published that plan yet.
Well, I've lived in my house for nearly 30 years, and my street has never been paved the entire time I've lived here.
Yep,
So
I completely believe it. Absolutely, it's on the way. The cavalry's coming. We can't really. We don't have the people power, or the resources to pave more than we're paving right now. We pave more than any other city in the Bay Area, certainly on an annual basis. It takes time to rip up and replace asphalt.
Sure.
So great discourse. Michael, I feel like we have to set up a meeting just to pick your brain more and hear from you, because we really value your feedback. So thanks again.
Have it help, just give me a shout. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll reach out. I really quickly want to summarize some project next steps and how to stay involved. Like I mentioned a couple of times during this presentation, there are going to be many more quick strike engagement opportunities. We're going to set up some office hours where Pete and I and the rest of the project team will be setting up on Zoom and hanging out for hours at a time at different times of the week, mornings, evenings, weekends, just to answer questions and give this presentation again, get deeper into topics people want to talk about. We bend our ears with all you have to say regarding these. We'll be doing some neighborhood association meetings. Please have us at your next meeting if you're meeting within the project time. We can come to you. We'll be doing pop-up outreaches, more online open houses, a survey. We're kind of trying to do as much as we can in this short time period. We also have the Movimiento newsletter and mailing list. If you'd like to be on it, we will send a follow-up email to you all. You can respond and sign up for that. We have our Movimiento community advisory group. Guadalupe is on it. Some other folks tonight were on it. That is a quarterly meeting where we talk about all things transportation in East San Jose. We have different speakers come. We talk about bike parking and all sorts of topics. It is really fun for me to hear what all the community members and advocates in the area have to say. And then we have the website, of course, the East San Jose Movimiento website that has all our project updates, things that were in the plan that are coming in the pipeline, things that are active, ways to participate. And that link is here, and we'll send that up in the follow-up email as well. And here's our contact information. Pete and I, we are here to serve you all, so please email us anytime. During the pandemic, our phone numbers at City Hall kind of all got moved around, so we will update those as soon as we get those sorted out. But Pete Rice is the Movimiento project manager, so please email him. And then I help Pete in that and also lead our other area-wide transportation plans. So thank you all for coming and spending your evening with us. I know it's hard at dinner time, but you're free to go. Thank you all.
Thanks, everyone. Really appreciate all your input tonight and chatting with you all.
Thanks, everyone. Good night. Have a restful evening. Thanks, Eugene. Thank you, Guadalupe, for coming.